the second time, I'm honoured to have the great Teddy Atlas on a ringside seat with Tassie. Teddy, how are you, my friend?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just coming off the back of a good boxing promotion in my hometown in Tasmania, which was good. It was in my mum's honour, and it was to raise money for the local cancer hospital. So it was a really good event, and was able to hand over $10,000 to the Peter Mac Cancer Hospital, which looked after my mother and was in her name. So very special to the heart. Very close.
Oh, that's great. That's God bless you for doing that. God bless your mom. Great tribute to her. She raised a good son, and you're helping other people in her memory. So you know what? I have a charity foundation, the Dr. Atlas Foundation. We've been helping people 28 years.
Wow.
So when we hang up, when we get finished with this podcast, you can give me the information, and I add $3,000 to that. So you can help a few more kids with cancer.
Thank you so much, Teddy. That's amazing. God bless you, brother. Yeah, so yeah, it feels like it's sort of funny. I was seeing you there every few months in Saudi, but I haven't seen you, I think, since January, since it was at the Better Bivol too. But it's been great seeing you on all these trips and getting to know you, and you always give me your time, which is to me, I feel so privileged, mate. And but anyway, I saw your top 10 the other day, mate. I really enjoyed that. I went through it with a fine tooth comb, actually. Your top 10 goats. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, this sport has been around longer than any other sport. It's thousands of years, and a couple thousand years. We don't even know the true origin. I mean, the Olympics go back 2,000 years. The origin, it was in the first Olympics, or one of the first Olympics, and there. I mean, it goes back so far that we can't even accurately calculate exactly when the sport started, because there is provings of boxing, and colleges, and archaeologists um, have actually gone into caves and found, you know, paintings on the walls over 2,000 years ago of people in boxing poses, boxing stances. So, look, it's a sport that goes back so far that there's so many great fighters that have been in the sport. And the sadness to me is there's so many young people out there. They might know the baseball players, basketball players, football players, but they don't know the great fighters and the great men that were in this sport years ago, that during an era like in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, some of these fighters, they were fighting 40-round fights. They were they had 200, 250 pro fights. We have fighters like Harry Greb and Henry Armstrong that have fought over 35 times in a year. And they're not, a lot of fans are not even aware, because it's hard. And
Mm.
there's nowhere to go to get that information, to get that history. So I sometimes feel like it's an obligation, whenever I can in my small way, to really put out the history a little bit, so that the younger fans can not only see the greatness of these fighters, what they accomplished with 200, 250 fights. Some of them had over 100 knockouts. Uh, we had a guy like Henry Armstrong that won the featherweight, the lightweight, the welterweight title within a 2-month period. I mean, those are three full weight classes, no junior titles in between.
And got ripped
And
off for the middleweight championship as well. He should have won that
yeah,
fight.
yeah, against Severino Garcia. So I, again, it's not only that they can see the numbers and the like I said, the results of of their greatness in that way, and accomplishments, but just to understand a little bit of their stories of what they overcame, to get to those places, how difficult it was back in those days, to accomplish the things they accomplished. It would help these young fighters because a lot of time these young fighters, when they think they're going through a struggle, which I understand they are, everyone goes through their struggles, but if they could read and understand what these great fighters went through to get to where they and had to go through to get where they didn't even have food to eat, where some of them, early in their career, guys like Henry Armstrong lost some fights because he didn't get enough nutriment. He wasn't able to eat a proper meal before the fight. He was so poor in his early going and didn't have the endurance. And, other just guys like Jack Dempsey that went from town to town, to fight for 40, 50, $60 and actually rode underneath the rails, what they called the rails, on the railroad train. They didn't have money. He didn't have money to get on the train as a passenger, so he held on to the rails underneath, and a lot of people died doing that. I mean, there would be tragedies all the time where somebody was, grabbing a free ride that way, and of course they'd fall off and they'd wind up getting killed. So again, to just for our young fighters out there, young fans out there, I think it's important for them to get a chance to know not only their accomplishments, but how they accomplished it, what they had to go through. So that list I put together, look, it's subjective. There's so many great fighters in this great sport that's been around so long
100%.
that you can always come up with you can come up with all kinds of lists.
It was
That's
like you
my
said, it
list.
could have been top 17. It could have been a 17 list. I mean,
Look, that's my list. Again, it's subjective. That's my opinion. That's my studying of the sport. And what I put into the curriculum, into the criterion, I should say, of how I come up with it, which is longevity, level of opposition. Obviously, how how they what accomplishments, the titles that they won, but again also the extreme circumstances that they won them under, and also their place in history. How some of them, like Joe Louis and Jack Johnson,
yeah,
how some of them formed history, were pioneers
yes,
in history. So all of that for me goes into my criterion of trying to come up with such a difficult list of 10 greatest fighters of all. And I like the idea that it's subjective where some fans can call and look at my podcast and then they can write in and they can argue. They can say, "Look, I disagree with you. Um, I think that's healthy. That's good. That's what we want. That's what I hope for."
yeah. Oh, mate, look, I showed a couple of friends of mine and I'm trying to educate them. And the fact that you mentioned names like Sam Langford, who my friends didn't know, Benny Leonard, um, you know, Duran, I know you didn't have him in, he just missed your top 10, but Joe Gans, the first African American world
Joe Gans
champion.
could be on anybody's top
Yep,
10. Joe Gans, one of the great lightweights of all
unbelievable.
time.
Unbelievable.
I mean, tremendous, tremendous, unbelievable, and what he had to overcome, what he had to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't even know he fought later in his career. He was fighting with tuberculosis.
Mm.
I mean, again, people would be just shocked by what these fighters had to deal with besides the opponents in the ring.
Yeah. I just want to double check though. I know Joe Gans is the first African American, but George Dixon was the first black man to become a world champion out of Canada. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Uh, so I believe bantamweight or featherweight. I believe bantamweight. But yeah. Look, Sam Langford. What a
What a fighter.
what what a man he was. I mean, he fought from lightweight to heavyweight. They wouldn't give him, he was a black man, so they wouldn't give him a heavyweight. They wouldn't give him a world title fight. He beat 9 world champions in non-title fights. And like I said, he fought from lightweight to heavyweight. He was just a incredible, incredible fighter, incredible man. There's so much legend about him. There's a legendary story. Who knows if it's true, but it's a beautiful story. I love it. He was they weighed in morning of the fight, day of the fight, and then they were walking out. They were walking out to the ring, which was in a field, and they're walking out to the ring, and as they cross each other, his opponent was carrying. Well, it was almost like you could see where the saying "bring your lunch" comes from. His opponent was carrying a crate of oranges. The fight was scheduled. The fight was scheduled for 40 rounds. So he was carrying oranges to go out there to take with him, which was, the practice in those days. And there's Sam Langford, the great Sam Langford, you know, and people, when they saw Sam Langford, it was a different feeling. Oh my God, that's Sam Langford. So he's going out there with his 40 oranges, and there's Sam Langford going out there, and he's crossing his path, and he's got 5 oranges. And the fighter looks at Sam, the great Sam Langford. He says, "Sam, you miscounted." And Sam looks at him and says, "Only gonna need 5." And he knocked him out in 5. That's how the story has it. Who
Unbelievable.
knows? Who knows? All we know is only a guy who was great, like Sam Langford, who did the special things he did, could have a story like that
That's right.
attached to him.
That's right.
Anyway, I hope you do well, and I'm gonna have to be going here, but I hope I wanted to do this for you. You've been asking me to
I
do
really
it.
appreciate them. As I said, to talk about the guys like that, and and the Harry Grebs and the Benny Leonards, but before we go, just quickly, some modern day fighters, just to get your quick. There's a big thing this weekend. You obviously you'll be there for the or no, it's next weekend, isn't it? The Haney and the Garcia and the Lopez fights?
No, that's not this week. This week is the fight coming up in Britain.
Ben and Eubank. Who wins that fight,
week.
Teddy? Who wins that fight?
Well, look, you got 2 different styles and 2 different sizes. You got the smaller man, Benn, who hasn't learned how to lose yet, but he hasn't been too active the last few years, 1 fight a year. But he's an aggressive, more prototypical fighter with his hands up, aggressive, good offensive fighter. And then you got Benn, who's more awkward and unorthodox and older and bigger. And he's going to look to stay on the outside, control the geography outside. He's going to look to pot shot the smaller Benn coming in. And the burden's going to be on Benn to make the fight, to press the fight, to take the risk, to take on the responsibility of having to come forward in this fight. And again, the risk of Benn being able to then fight his fight, which is to pick him apart, try to catch him on the way in with quick hands, quick punches. And like I said, he can be very unorthodox and a very awkward, difficult style. It's a grand contrasting style. I don't know if it's going to be a pretty fight because Eubank is not. Eubank is a smart fighter. He will look to counter him, and then he'll look to tie him up on the inside and not let Benn be able to be productive in the area where he has to be productive as the aggressive fighter, as the man who wants to get inside. He's going to have to be productive in there, and Eubank will. He is not he's not adverse to tying you up. He doesn't care if the crowd boos. He just cares about doing, which I don't blame him. He cares about doing what's smart and what gives him the best chance to have an edge. So it could get ugly that way where he'll look to grab. The responsibility is going to be on Ben and his team to be prepared for that, to not allow him to tie him up. to do the things that you need to do to make sure that does take a step back. Don't smother yourself, rotate your shoulders, keep your hands in punching position, don't put them behind you, bang. And also, what's going to be important, I think, nobody talks about these things, but the referee, who the ref is. For Benn, he wants a ref who's going to let him fight inside. For Eubank, they're going to want a ref who's going to break you up on the inside.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
I think all of that's going to be important. At the end of the day, I'm really, I'm, I'm pushed to want to pick the naturally bigger man,
Yeah.
um, to catch, to be able to, who's very awkward, very difficult, has more experience, more ready for this kind of stage, if you will,
Mm.
perhaps mentally and emotionally. I, I, I'm, I'm just influenced a little bit, or tempted to take Eubank to fight that kind of fight. Maybe it's an ugly fight,
Yeah.
and to be able to win a decision. Um, at the end of the day, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go with the undefeated fighter. I'm gonna say that he's gonna find a way to get in without getting mugged on the way in. Like I like to say when I do the commentating, uh, that the guy on the outside wants to mug the guy coming forward when he goes through a tough territory or a bad neighborhood to get to him. I'm gonna say that he doesn't get mugged on the way in, and that he's gonna be able to sort of outgrit um, Eubank in a fight that can get, like I said, it can get ugly if Eubank is looking to tie him up,
Mm.
win on the outside and tie him up on the inside. It could get ugly. So I look, either way, it's a fight that obviously there's a tremendous interest across the pond. That's the place for the fight. That's where their fathers fought. That's where their history is. That's where the greatest fans in the world exist. I love the Mexican fans, the Puerto Rican fans, the Irish fans, the American fans. I love them all. The Australian fans. I
Yeah,
love them
that's right.
all. But there's no fans that are more attached.
I
There's
agree.
no people
Yeah.
more attached to the sport of boxing with a
Yeah.
longer history than
Mm.
the British fans.
I agree.
And believe me, they come out. They come out for their fighters. So
I
anyway,
agree. I
I
agree.
hope I
No, you did, mate. And just quickly, the big one at Times Square, Your Excellency, um, all the young guys, Lopez versus Barboza. A quick pick on that one.
um look, it's an interesting fight. Um Teofimo is so talented. The problem with him is he can be hot and cold.
You can be, yeah.
He, yeah, it's a mental thing with him. He can be hot and cold. But if he's mentally, I think he needs to be challenged. I think that he needs to be threatened. I think he needs to be, if you will, scared to the point where he will be at his best,
Yeah.
where he won't take anything for granted.
Like a
If he's at his
Lomachenko
best,
and
if
Josh
he's in
Taylor.
that mindset, if he's in
Yeah.
that mindset, and he's that way, I I like I like Barbosa. Um, he's obviously he can box well. Um, I I mean it's a good matchmaker's fight. It's a real solid fight. I would have to lean, like I said, towards Teofimo if he's right mentally, and I would think he would be for what's at stake.
Ryan Garcia versus Riley Ramiro.
Yeah, I'll go with Ryan.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, the only question for me, I mean, Ryan's been able to win. In the Haney fight, there was, hey, look, let's be honest, there was a lot of controversy, but he was able to win on that stage. Um, the Romero hasn't really been able to win at that level yet. He hasn't been able to win on that stage at that level yet. And he's getting another shot at it. He's gotten a lot of shots at it, to be honest. He's getting another shot at it. And he might be inspired because maybe this is finally the last shot he'll get at it. So maybe he'll be extra inspired by that. But Ryan, it's all about Ryan for me. He's got the talent. It's all about mentally, is he in the right place? Is he in the right frame of mind? And I think that he is. I mean, I don't know for certain, but from all accounts that I've heard, it seems like he's in a stable place. And if he is, I'm gonna go with him because they're both talented. But again, I think Ryan has shown he can take his talent and win at that next level.
And Haney Ramirez, the other fight on that show, the return of Devin.
Very interesting fight. Ramirez, a little sharp one, great heart, great former champ. I love his style. I love what he brings. I love he's TV friendly, he's fan friendly. I love to watch him. He's going to do what he does. He's going to bring it. It's a question with both of these guys, very interesting in different ways, but the same question, but in different ways. What does Ramirez have left? And then on the other side, what is Haney after that fight with Garcia? What does he have left? In other words, how has he? I don't think that he's won or possibly shot one the way Ramirez might be. I don't think that. But he hasn't been through that kind of career, that kind of punishment. But in his last fight, he did take a lot of punishment. And so again, it comes to what I always talk about, the most important element in my business, in this business, and that is the mind, the mental element. 75% of it is mental. Where is he okay mentally after that fight with Garcia? Is he back to where he needs to be mentally? And how much did it take out of him physically? At the end of the day, I'm going to say that his father, I like his father. I'm going to say that his father has him ready. I give him credit. They took enough time off.
Yeah.
And they needed that. They needed that. Sometimes guys come back from that kind of fight too early.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Ryan. I'm gonna go with Haney.
Last one, Teddy, before we wrap up. I know you're busy, mate. They just announced Shakur Stevenson versus Williams Zepeda. I think in a couple of months, Shakur Stevenson, one of the best there is, versus the Mexican Zepeda, undefeated, I think, sort of draw. What's your pick on that one, mate, before we finish?
Listen, very interesting. Obviously, you don't need Teddy Atlas to tell you that they're contrasting styles. You got a defensive wizard in Shakur, very talented, fast hands, good eyes, good radar, good instincts, good amateur pedigree, silver medalist from the Olympics, a guy that controls range as good as anybody, good legs, and yet he's still been criticized that, as not being aggressive enough, not being busy enough, not being exciting enough. I'll tell you what he is enough, though. What he is enough. He's enough to always win. That's pretty good. He's enough to always win, and he's enough to make it his fight. That's not easy. He always finds a way to make it control range, make it his kind of fight. And I'll tell you another thing, he's enough. He's enough where he believes in what he does, where he is not thrown off of that or influenced from a change of that by the voices of people on the outside. He doesn't let that influence. He knows what he is. He knows his identity. He knows where his bread is buttered. He knows how he got here. And he'll be damned if he's going to let anybody change that mindset from doing what has worked for him since he's a kid. So it's gonna be that style, you know, his radar, his counter punching, his controlling range, his hand speed against a guy who's just plain simply one dimensionally coming forward, relentless, body punching, uh, huge, huge amounts of punches, uh, just, that punch numbers stuff. It drives you crazy there's no way that you can keep up and figure how many punches he really throws. Uh, it's got a lot of elements that feed well, really, for each guy. Each guy has a strength and a weakness that plays well for the other guy and against themselves with the other guy. What I mean by that is you got Zepeda one-dimensional coming forward. That's going to bode well for a guy who's a great counterpuncher and great radar and great eyes and good hand speed and can be accurate in placing of punches like Shakur. That can really play well for him. And then on the other end, if you're going to fight a defensive wizard, you want to go to the body because
right.
the head's moving, but the body's there. You want to kill the body and the head will follow, like the old timers would say. And you want to wear him down mentally with pressure. Well, that's Zepeda. That's his bread and butter. He's going to go to the body. He's going to try to mentally wear down. And that's what people want answered. As we know Shakur's a good fighter. We know he's a terrific talent, a very good fighter. But is he mentally a very good fighter? Is he mentally strong? Is he mentally at that level? And there's a lot of people that figure Zepeda is the kind of style that can give us those answers. And that makes it, interesting, really interesting to see whether or not he can. But also, can he? Because Zepeda really will put my saying to a test. Where when I was doing the commentating, like I said, I would always say, the guy coming forward, if you're the guy that's the good counterpunch on the outside, you want to make him go to a bad neighborhood and mug him on his way in there. It's really going to put that to a test in a real way. Can Zepeda get through that neighborhood and get to the place on the inside without getting mugged? That's and I'll finish with this.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna make the guys that don't like Shakur because for no other reason. Because there's no reason not to like him. You like boxing, you like the sweet science, you should like him because that is what he does. He hits and doesn't get hit. He gives an exhibition of the sweet science.
He does.
But for the people that will get on him and say, I want more, I think they might finally get a chance to get that because this could be the kind of style in Zepeda that will make Shakur come up with more offense with his defense, that will force him to have to move his hands more just to keep Zepeda from taking control, from getting into the geography, like I always say, he wants where he can be in charge. So it might force him to be busier than he's been and busy in the way that those fans want him to be. Yeah, and we shouldn't forget that when Shakur a little earlier, when he won his first title, when he came on the scene, who was that against Ramirez? I'm trying to remember. And when he won his first title, he did move his hands. He was fighting a very aggressive guy like Zepeda, who wanted to get inside, who wanted to go to the body. Not as busy as Zepeda, but a very aggressive guy. And Shakur knew in that fight, I have to be good defensively. I have to control range. But I got to move my hands with this guy too and gain his respect and keep him from bullying me. And I think that he's going to understand that he needs that same mindset. And for me, that excites me, because then I will see the best version of Shakur Stevenson, and maybe the version that people want to see, been waiting to see. And we're going to see Zepeda. Can he win with that just relentless, one-dimensional attack and that great will that he has? Can he win with that? And don't forget, I think he's got a negative going against him. And again, I don't think anyone touched on this, but he just had 2 tough fights.
Tevin Farmer.
He has had 2 tough fights with a fighter you have to love. You got to love Farmer. If you love boxing, you got to love Farmer.
Me too.
And he's had 2 tough fights with him, and he hasn't had much rest in between.
No.
So that's going to that could go against him a little bit. We'll find out. I hope I gave you everything you want, because
Teddy,
I stayed about twice as long as
I know you always
no
do.
Problem.
I'm sorry. Listen, mate. Well, so much love and respect for you. I'm proud that to say you're a friend of mine, and you always give me time. And look, I can't appreciate you enough, Teddy. I love our friendship, and thank you for all the viewers worldwide, but also in Australia. Thanks for being on the ringside seat with Tassie, and thank you again also for your for offering a donation. I'll send you through the details, and it means a lot, mate. It would have been my mother's 70th birthday this Saturday. It's my stepdaughter's 21st birthday, actually, but it would have been Mum's 70th birthday. So everything I do now in boxing, everything I do, fundraising, charities, boxing events, podcasts, interviews in Saudi, is for her, in her honor.
Listen, like I said before, I don't want to overstate it. I think you're doing a great thing in 2 ways. In remembering your mom, and also in honoring and remembering her, but also in doing it in a way that's going to help other people. And that I think everyone should look to do that if they can. It makes your life just that much more worthwhile if you can help somebody else. So I appreciate what you're doing. When we end this, come back to me right away. I'm gonna give you a phone number. You're gonna call my foundation tomorrow. And you're gonna make arrangements. They're gonna make arrangements because it is Australia, mate.
That's right, mate.
So we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna get that check for $3,000 over to you. So I have you call my foundation tomorrow morning. But come back to me so I can give you that info.
Will. Thanks, Teddy. Listen, mate. Enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless you, and see you later, Teddy the Third. I love you, mate. It was always great to see.
Watch him on my podcast.
I watch all the time, every week.
He's the co-host of the podcast.
He's a champion.
He's a good kid, and he's passionate about it. He's a lot smarter than his father, and he knows how to do, the stuff that the young kids know how to do. That I'm a caveman. I don't know how to do. He knows how to do the live streaming. He knows how to do the social media. He's doing question and answers with the fans now. He's doing all elements that is only enhancing the podcast. And I'm proud of him. I'm grateful.
I'm grateful. He's a great kid, mate. I really love seeing you both every time we're away. But I really, we keep in touch, and I'm glad, I'm honoured to have him as a friend too. He's a really good fella. So he's both great people. Again, Teddy, thank you so much for your time, my friend, and God bless you. And we'll see you again soon. See you, Teddy. Bye, mate.